Well, hi everyone, and welcome to the first live stream that's very intimate amongst you that have joined the Outdoor Station newsletter. And you know, I've had such a panic today trying to get it all set up. This is the first time I've actually done it in anger, as it were. I've forgotten to get the coffee, so it was a cup of coffee with Bob. But anyway, I've got the chat room in front of me. Rose is helping here. She's on troll patrol. Here, I'll give you a show, Rose. Give the camera a wave, Rosie. Yes, there she is. She's on troll patrol, just shouting out any of the conversation to me. So please do let me know who you are watching and where you're watching from. It'd be really good to know who I'm talking to. I was going to give you basically a little bit of a rundown of the studio and what I hope to be doing. And I had hoped to be a lot more prepared and have some slides ready, but today's been a bit of a technical challenge, to say the least. But it's been good fun, or at least it will be when it's when it's all over. Anyway, I have been looking around the world to see what the situation is with everybody else with this virus situation. No doubt we're all equally bored with one thing or another. And I've just been going on some webcams. So I'm just going to go across to Dublin, which is some people out there in Dublin wandering around.
Ellie from Tough Souls is there.
Ah, is Ellie? Ah, hi Ellie, thanks for joining us. In fact, there you go. I presume it's your hometown, or certainly nearby if nothing else. But yeah, there's a few people milling around, but not very many. And what else have we got? We've got Tokyo at Shibuya, the main crossing in Tokyo there. And that is, if anybody's ever been, I've been, it's absolutely rammed 24/7, but it looks like fairly quiet, although there's still plenty of traffic. As I say, I've just looked at these randomly, really, just to see if everybody else is suffering. Finland, somebody in Finland here. Where is this? Finns railroad station, wherever that is, in Finland. Certainly very quiet, and as you can tell, rather snowy. So that there's an awful lot going on there. What else have we got? And Royal Palms Beach, I thought that'd be pretty, in Grand Cayman. What's that doing? Normally packed, I'm sure. And that doesn't seem to be doing an awful lot either. So it looks like everybody around the world has obviously taken heed of the advice and staying at home, as we all are. So part of the reason for doing this is obviously to entertain and inform and chat to people if they want to get some outdoor inspiration. And we hope that what we can be doing here, with a little bit of help from perhaps the trade and some of the authors as well as enthusiasts, might be entertaining and help pass an hour or so every day or so when I go live. Certainly going to put a lot more polish on the presentation. But I'm just glancing at the chat room. I can't quite see Keith Foskett. Hi Keith, thanks very much for joining us. David Fowler, Martin, welcome. Thank you very much for joining.
Mark Jan from Bristol, first to join us.
Mark Jan from Bristol, first to join us. Thanks for joining us, Mark. Anybody else there, Rose?
Martha Wheaton, she's in Toronto.
Excellent, Toronto. Well, welcome aboard. In fact, I think Toronto's probably fairly quiet at the moment. From what I saw on some of the cams, you're in lockdown there as well.
Got Grant as well in Hearts, and Declan in Dublin. And Chris Evans said he's Saffron Walden, but he's on the wine. Forget the coffee.
Probably a sensible thing, but don't forget, only 3 bottles at a time. You can't have more than 3. I discovered that the other day when I went to get my top-ups as well. So how about I give you a bit of a rundown and wander around the studio and show what we've got. As I say, that's the overhead cam looking down at the business end, at this end, which is where I hope to be doing some interviews with people if, when we get people allowed in, of course, and there's some freedom of movement. But I've got a few people lined up who are keen to come and talk about their particular projects, which would be good fun. And at the other end of the studio, we've got the sort of demonstration area, and it'll be here that I hope to be showing people what's what with various stoves and that sort of thing. Obviously it's a glorious day, and as you can see the sun is beaming through today, which is a bit of a problem. So I need to get some blinds sorted for that, but that's early days, and I'll get this, well, this actually isn't a presentation table, it's a kitchen island which I picked up. In fact, most of the things I picked up in here are all second-hand, with a little bit of work made them look a little more sparkly and hopefully make the presentation good. But of course, overhead we have, as you would expect really, an overhead camera so we can get in close to things. In fact, we could probably get in really close if we chose to do so. And that just so happens to be a titanium honey stove. What a fabulous thing that is too. It's still available at Backpacking Light. And then ultimately, what I also hope to be doing is putting some stuff up outside. And in fact, we have got garden cam. So I'll have a quick wander outside and show you what that looks like. By all means, keep dropping some comments in and text. It's always good to know, as I say, who we're talking to. But at the moment, what a fabulous day. What a fabulous day. And the sunlight is just starting to catch the camera. So I was just lucky to get this in time. But this is where you normally see me pitch the tent when I do the tent videos and in your space. And I don't know if you can make it out with that wide angle lens, but we've got the Malvern Hills over here as well. And it creates a lovely backdrop. Unfortunately, Rose wants me to put a flower bed just in front of the fence there, which I think is going to ruin my view, but there you go. Such is married life. So yeah, we'll hope to be doing lots of stuff out here. So I've got plenty of tents to get out of my boxes. I've collected tents like most people over the years. I have a reasonable tent collection. I think I've probably got about 15. So tents, tarps, and so on to go through. Sleeping bags, I think I've probably got about 10 or 15 sleeping bags as well. Bivy bags and tarps. So there's plenty to look at and hopefully share with you. I'll just pop back inside. Any more comments, love? So that's the outdoor part, weather permitting, of course, and hopefully inside here we can do an awful lot of things, not just interview people, but also bring in people from overseas via the connection as well, and interview them online and share their story, as well as go through various technical things. We did do a test run with Montane rucksacks, and the Montane rep was online, which worked out quite well really. It was just a test run. In fact, it was before all this was plastered and finished. It was just in here when it was a bare room, and I wanted to see how well it would work. And I thought it went quite well really, considering. So hopefully we'll do a little bit of that. We've got, naturally with the Backpacking Light shop, we've got a fair amount of stock of different items which we can pull out and demonstrate. And while we're doing that, the technical support, if you like, from the brand can be online as well, and that can be from anywhere in the world. And maybe they'll send us down items if people are thinking they'd like to see items in more detail, because at the moment none of us can go to shops. But let me head back to my comfy chair. So those are sort of the ideas really of the facilities. All the facilities are fairly flexible. We can move everything around. So guys, I can't quite see who's online. This monitor's just that little bit too far away from me. In fact, I should probably put it onto a laptop. That might make life easier. Perhaps you can give me some ideas or comments on my thoughts really. What would you like to see? Would you like to see more interviews with people that are also housebound? There's an idea of perhaps asking people if they'd like to do a quick 30-second review of an item that they own, and we can put them all together and then do a complete review. So we look at something in detail, and then we can have 5 or 6 or a dozen or whatever people's own personal comments on whether they found that particular piece of equipment useful or a tip or whatever it may be. We can, as I say, call in overseas people for interviews as well. Would you like to see more of that? That's something that we can do, obviously a time zone related, but it's something that's definitely on the cards. What else could we do? We can review various other things that we've got, and I'm also hoping to do sort of a hints and tips section as well, where we can actually help people that are perhaps doing things for the first time, and give them some tips on shortcuts on how to save weight or save themselves some inconvenience or whatever it may be. And I've got my troll troll mistress. No, I'm calling you a troll. What comments have you got there, love?
Keith Foskett sort of he's looking forward to there's quite a few bits in here. Chat with Philip Carcier.
Yes, Philip Carcier. Yeah. Hang on a second, let me answer that. Yes, I did interview Philip Carcier, Keith, so thanks very much for the contact there. Fascinating story, great interview. Might make a two-part podcast, but I think it's either next week or the week after that I launch that one. At the moment, I'm about 4 or 5 weeks ahead of my releases, but yeah, it was a really nice bloke, really nice bloke. In fact, I'd like to have done that on video. That would have been really good. Anybody else, love?
Mark John says, are you taking up any outdoor sports, or are you staying with walking?
Outdoor sports? That's a good question. I do or have done a lot of running. We've used, Rose and I have done adventure racing. We do skipping, if that helps. What was that again? Hang on a second, I've just got to show people this. This is an interesting little move. Do you want to do it to the camera?
That one? We did this one?
That's not pogo dancing, and it's not using a pogo stick, it's horse riding. And what was the other one? Is that your driving?
No, it's paddling.
Paddling, yeah. So yes,
And
we do a variety of things,
I
certainly.
cycling.
I don't know if that answers your question. Any other questions there, Rose?
Yes. Apparently Martha says Gospel Gear just sent out an email mentioning a new holiday, National Camp at Home Day. She thinks we've got the space for it.
Yeah, camp at home, yes. Yeah, we can certainly do that. That was actually something else I was going to do, is actually do a late night pitching tent. Perhaps I'll even try some of this hot tenting, which is coming in from America. One of the retailers over there is really pushing hot tenting at the moment, and one of our tents has got a chimney exit in the material, and I've got an old stove which perhaps would do it. So I've never experienced hot tenting, never tried it, mainly because the weather's never been that bad, and unfortunately, or fortunately, depends how you look at it, we're not in Scandinavia, so Scandinavian countries would have been ideal place to test it. So with a little bit of experimenting, a bit of learning, we could learn together. We could learn together and try it ourselves. Anything else?
Ellie says, how regularly do you think you'll be streaming or releasing interviews?
Ellie asks how often,
How regular?
how regular. Well, really, a lot of it depends on the feedback when I go through the messages here, to be honest. The idea, what I'd really like to do, I mean, obviously we are all stuck at the moment, and business, for all of us who are self-employed, business is starting to disappear. So we might as well use that time productively. So I've said this to Rose, you see, and she's doubted me, but I've sort of said 2 or 3 times a week would be great. Lovely if I could do more, which would be ideal once the system is running smoothly. So I could do a daily interview, daily chat, daily something or other, if it's relevant. But I don't really want to come online and do something which is just waffle and actually doesn't have any useful content for people. So I don't know what you think about that, Ailey, but would that work? What would you think? Do you think once, twice, 3 times a week? What would be practical, useful, and of interest to people? Definitely interested in all your feedbacks on that question. So please enter it in the chat. It'd be great.
A couple of people really like the idea of a National Camp at Home Day.
Yeah.
And Rase, forgive me if I pronounced that incorrectly. 30-second reviews sound very interesting. You were saying lots of stuff you can get through very quickly, and really likes that idea.
Yeah, I think the 30-second review, I don't think I've seen it done for a while actually, and in fact I don't think I've seen it done at all, to be honest. Right, I've got it in front of me so I can actually see some of the conversation myself now. So yeah, 30-second reviews, it would be great, wouldn't it? If everybody's sitting at home and they've all used the equipment that we're perhaps looking at, perhaps I could put out an Instagram note to say that tomorrow we're going to be looking at, I don't know, the Trangia stove, or a pot or a pan or whatever it may be, or a particular tent. It'd be great to get everybody's feedback on what they think. Just a very quick message on the phone and send it in. Anybody else?
Quite a lot on cooking. I've been told to shout up a bit more, so.
Yes, we have. Sorry, your mic's not on. Your mic's on. I didn't expect to talk.
Okay, yeah, did we ever like this one? Did we ever finish the Dehydrator book?
The dehydration book. I'm glad you asked.
It has been finished, let me tell you, for 5 years.
Yes, you can quiet down now. You can quiet down now.
No, we've added to it. But
yes, in fact, it's been finished, and we've been adding to it. And actually, trends have changed. Have you noticed? We've noticed that the, what do you call it? This new food. Green clean food is starting to creep in. So it was quite a carbohydrate high meat. There's a bit of veggie recipes in there. Some good stews and casseroles, but a lot of this new food and new menus, if you like, are starting to creep in. So we need to add a few bits. But that project was after getting the shed finished, and the shed is now near as damn it finished, apart from a few subtleties. So I haven't got any more excuses, really. Although, having said that, if I do go live 2 or 3 times a week, I certainly will not have the time to finish the book. There you go. There's one for the thoughts.
There's definitely a food theme going on. I wonder why.
A food theme going on.
Lots
Okay.
of people interested in recipes and cooking outdoors and honey stove and.
Cooking suggestions. Shout up a bit, Rose. Yeah, I can see some of the comments now. Yeah, cooking, a cook-off. Right, okay. So give me the answer in the comments there. What would people like to see? Would you like to see cooking over an open fire, sort of barbecue-y style, or on the honey stove, or another wood-burning stove? Something a bit bigger, cooking over like a bushcraft fire, that type of food. Would you like to see actually some dehydrated food, or the process of dehydrating, so you can actually see the benefits and how that reduces, and possibly how that comes back as well when it's rehydrated? Would you like to see something like that? Yeah, give me some feedback, give me some ideas. It's great ideas to actually do a cooking thing, either do the cooking or do the preparation side of it. That could be quite useful and quite interesting to people.
A plea not to give up the podcast because it's hard to watch video when you're running trails.
Feeble excuse. Should be holding the camera out like that. Yes, of course. The podcasts aren't going to be terminated. Basically, the bottom line is I'm expecting to put my efforts now more into general media and the production and the podcasts, probably 80-90% of my time, whereas beforehand a good sort of 60-70% of the time was spent on the shop, which is now obviously getting a bit of a pounding. So I'm looking to put more efforts into this, and perhaps start something like a Patreon account or a Ko-fi account, or some kind of account where if people feel generous enough to support me, that would be great. And of course, you never know, there could be, let's put it this way, there could be opportunities with brands who might want to promote something, that might want to see it demonstrated, see what the feedback is online, and some kind of deal going on, either a typical sort of paid marketing thing, or some kind of sell-through. I don't know. I'm just kicking ideas around at the moment. But there's certainly a lot of people have shown interest. And interest actually from different countries. Different countries have got different approaches. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Any more comments there?
Dehydrating is quite popular. Quite a lot of interest in that. Some different comments on how often it is. Some people said once a week would be enough. Others would say 2 or 3 times would be brilliant. So. Okay,
once a week or 3 times a week. Yeah, dehydrating. Been dehydrating myself, but home use, bearing in mind the current coronavirus situation. Dehydrating video would be interesting to see how you do it. Sure, Keith. And somebody mentioned without a specific dehydrator, John Jessup. He said cooking over a wood-burning stove and dehydrating with any specific dehydrator would be good. To be honest, the dehydrators are incredibly simple pieces of machinery, and there isn't a vast difference between them. The differences that there are between dehydrators are basically where they draw the air from. Some draw the air from the back of the machine, some draw it from beneath the machine, and there are pros and cons in each one. If you want my comments now, the ones that draw the air from underneath the machine, which was the first one that we bought, and we actually imported it from New Zealand. There was nobody selling it in this country, and that was 25, 30 years ago. We found over time that because it was drawing all the air from the work surface of the kitchen surface that we had, which was actually a real wood surface, not a laminate, it actually dried the surface out. And after many years, when we moved it, we realised all that wood area underneath it was cracked. Yeah.
Plus you have to rotate the trays because the one on the bottom dries quicker.
Yeah, and as Rose quite rightly says, but that works on both systems actually. With the ones that draw the air from underneath, obviously that's getting the most of the heat. But the heat we're talking about is actually, somebody described it to me as less than the heat from a light bulb. It really is a very, very low, gentle heat. And although you can dehydrate with an oven at home, the principle to do that is actually leave the oven door open and turn the oven down as low as possible. So it's a massive waste of energy. And also, what a lot of people don't realise about dehydrating food is the moisture carries the aroma of the food. So if you put curry and a custard in a dehydrator, it makes for an interesting supper on the campsite. Any more comments, love?
Most people seem to, you've got lots of ideas, so I'm happy for that.
John H UK, John He, oh John, nice to see you again. How are you doing? Bear in mind the sort of comments on Facebook outdoor groups, they could badly use an intro for newbies. What's it all about and the wild camping ethos? Yeah, good one, John. I think it's easy when you've got experience, which I presume most of the people who are watching actually have got a fair amount of experience, to assume that common sense and that experience spreads organically with people that are starting out new, but it's not the case. And as we've all seen with Facebook, it does pop up with a lot of very basic questions, which sometimes you think, why are you asking this? But actual fact, it comes from experience. We've all sitting there with experienced heads. And you're right, actually, it would be nice to share some of that experience around and help people out, certainly. Any more comments, love?
Mark Jones had to go, unfortunately, but...
Thanks for dropping by, Mark. Nice to see you.
I think we're sort of up to date.
Yeah, you're still alive, are you, John? Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you again.
Yeah.
So, any other ideas? Anything else that you guys have seen online, perhaps overseas from any of the European or international video producers? I know some of them have been incredibly popular and have a massive following over in the States. But of course, they're in lockdown as well. So it'll be interesting to see what people do over there for entertainment. And obviously, I'm happy to take on any ideas and take it forward. What about interviews with people? Do people think that the type of interviews that I do on audio podcasts would make good video as well? I did do a dry run, a test run, if you like, with Katie Jane Endurance, the lady that did the lightweight across Iceland trip, which I thought I quite enjoyed the interview, and I recorded it on video, as you know. But I would have liked to have done that as a live stream as well, because I think there would have been a lot of interaction, a lot of interesting questions that would have come in from people that would have made that a bit more dynamic. But what about people like that? Do you think interviews with isolated celebrities is a good idea, or interviews with people that perhaps just want to ask questions? Do you think that's a better idea? Obviously, everybody's sitting on their social media at the moment, interacting with each other that way, so it would be nice to make it a little bit more colourful on a live stream. And what I'm hoping to do, rather than it be just this, two heads talking, me and somebody else that's, well, not here obviously, but online, is obviously bringing a lot of their pictures, their library pictures from their particular expedition, trip, adventure, experience, whatever it may have been. Phil Plume's was very interesting. I've not done stand-up paddleboarding, so I thought that was quite an interesting interview to learn a bit and also experience some of the atmosphere from that point of view. There have been other people as well. That Ben James, today's podcast that was released, he did Iceland, obviously in slightly worse weather than Katie or Dermot, and that seemed to be an adventure and a half. I don't know if you caught that podcast, but the idea of having sickness and diarrhea, minus 20 degrees and 75-mile-an-hour winds in deep snow struck me as not a particularly pleasant way to go camping. But it makes for a good story, and certainly if you haven't listened to that podcast, do have a listen to that. Right, check out some of the more comments. John Jessup, more interviews would be good. Sarah Jackson, you only usually do the audio podcast, but the interviews are generally great, particularly folks doing long distance cool stuff. So when you say long distance cool stuff, how long are we talking, Sarah? Do you want sort of coast to coast in the UK? Do you want a coastal path perhaps, or the Pennine Way or the Cotswold Way or something like that? Or are we talking across America or the PCT, the AT-CDT? In fact, there's a couple of interviews that I'm hoping we can sort out. I interviewed Cam, the French girl, who I think has actually made it to America. Trail Hunter was coming to interview me the day that Donald Trump announced the fact that America was closing its borders. So it cost him, he had to bring forward his flight. He couldn't get a flight, and it cost him £2,000 for the last seat on a plane to get to America.
I was watching YouTube videos, some of the characters over there, and they've closed all the trails. All the trails have been asked to be cleared and people to come off the trails.
All right, okay, so that's obviously made a big difference.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you heard that, but Rose was saying that the trails apparently have now been closed in America, which obviously is going to make a massive difference. And I think, as I say, the Trail Hunter and Cam, if she's over there, I wonder what they're going to be doing, whether they're going to be twiddling their thumbs, because presumably they can't fly back, which is rather an expensive way to spend your time when you're expected to be hiking. So my thoughts are with them at the moment, certainly. Sarah says, think you did Adventurous Lucy, or was that another station? I don't remember an Adventurous Lucy, Sarah. I would like to meet an Adventurous Lucy, but no, I don't think so. John Jessup, you could try the guys that took an open canoe around Britain. Yeah, sounds like a bit of a challenge.
Because you had Jasper Wynne, who did Ireland, didn't you?
Yes, yeah, we did, and that's I think he would make a wonderful interview. Jasper Wynne, Rose has just reminded me. If you go onto the Outdoor Station website and put Jasper Wynne into the search box, or just Jasper, I've done a couple of interviews with him, and he paddled around Ireland, and he's a great storyteller, a real, what would you call Jasper?
Old-fashioned adventurer.
Old-fashioned adventurer, a true adventurer, a real vagabond.
He was an equestrian and a musician. And
yeah, he's got typical Irish. He does a bit of everything, and he does it very well. Lots of music instruments he plays.
Windswept and interesting.
Yeah, Billy Connolly's description would suit Jasper Wynne perfectly. Windswept and interesting. So yeah, Jasper Wynne, he'd make a good one. And but I don't know about these guys doing the open canoe around Britain. So that certainly would be one to follow up. In fact, a lot of this kind of stuff is I'm open to people to send me suggestions. Keith Foskett sent me some suggestions, and I followed those up, and several other people have as well. So I'm doing my best to keep everything relevant and interesting to people. I'm just going back to some of the earlier comments now I can actually see them. John Dunbavin, National Camp at Home Day. Yeah, is there a date set for that, National Camp at Home Day? Gossamer just sent out an email to mention the new holiday National Camp at Home Day. Okay, that was Martha. Thanks, Martha. Thanks, Ellie, for your comments on the studio. Yes, it is looking good. I'm very pleased with it. As I say, just a few little tweaks to sort out.
Today apparently is the
And Rose could say?
camping day, I think apparently it's today.
It's today, is it? Oh, okay. Well, I'm camping out in here. Oh, right, so that webcam was 15 down the minutes on the bike, down the road on the bike for Ellie. Oh, there you go. Useful to have a local that close. Yeah, I've just gone backwards in the comments, and one come in from the Flying Sprout. What a great description. Love the look of the new studio. Thanks very much. In fact, people that have just arrived, would you like to have another whistle-stop tour around the studio? Do give me a comment and I'll do it again. I did it at the very beginning of the stream, and if you're interested, I'll do it again as well. So that would give you an idea of some of the things we can do and hope to do. Just going to the overhead camera again, so you can actually see the expanse. There's Rose there watching all the comments at the moment and reading them to me, because I didn't think I could actually see them at the beginning of the show, but actually I've pulled them up here, which is great. You can see I've got a couple of cameras there on the console, one facing this way, one facing the other way, and everything in here is on wheels, that needs to be on wheels, so it can all be changed. So if need be, I could do a full-length fashion show in here if somebody wanted to do some outdoor clothing or yoga clothing or whatever it may be that might be of interest to people. So video's good for me. Shiwi, could you host a virtual backyard bivvy while we're in this madness, Bob? Live updates from everyone camping in their garden. Could be fun and raise a few pennies for HS while we're at it. Yeah, good idea actually. One of the things I started to do before the shutdown was contact a select number of people to do a live stream from their campsite. So they were going to head into the hills where they would need a decent 4G connection, but hopefully high in the hills gives you that. And they were going to head into the hills and do a stream, and we were going to discuss their equipment and how they go about their particular bivvy, which I thought would be quite interesting. But taking that a stage further, Shiwi, yeah, we could do something similar here and actually compare camping in the back garden, as it were, which would be quite good.
There's a question about weights from the V4A inner changing on the website.
Yeah, there's been a few things that have changed. Where did that come in from, Rose? I haven't seen that one. Does that go back a bit? The question that came in was from somebody, I can't see it, regarding specifications on some of the Lux stuff. Yeah, I think it's all been a little bit confusing the last 6 months with some of the manufacturing process, and I'm not too sure, because obviously language is a little bit of a challenge, but Michael is very good, but I'm not too sure as to the reasons of what's happened. But certainly we've noticed a slight increase in the weight on the inner, and we don't know if he knows about it and it's something that's happened as a surprise to him, or he's designated it for some reason. And because he's been in lockdown, he's not been answering any of the emails, or very few emails, particularly because he's actually more concerned about his family. And in fact, it's quite interesting, the emails we do get from Michael in Hong Kong have all been saying, look after yourself, be careful, don't trust the World Health Organization, things are still bad in Hong Kong and China. So who do you believe? Who do you believe? Right, anybody else like to have a quick look around the studio? Anybody like to have a quick look around the studio, have a bit of a wander? John He, your video's buffering, but everything seems clear here. I've got three monitor systems, all of which are coming off the internet and seem to be clear, so hopefully it's just your connection. But I'll have another wander around and we can see what we can do. So let's...
Martha says show us your toys.
I'm sorry?
Martha says show us your toys.
Oh, Martha, behave. Well, it's a beautiful evening, which is obviously doing hell for the exposure. so it's giving me quite a nice sheen. That's one thing about it, I don't have to worry about the sunlight coming through my hair. A halo. Thank you, Rose, a halo. So yeah, this is our demo table for the time being, and I've just got a honey stove here at the moment to give you an idea of what we can do, but that can obviously be a lot bigger or smaller, and we can take the camera as close as you like. And we did this with a rucksack cam actually on the Montaigne video. I seem to remember the Montaigne rucksack video, and that worked quite well, so that when people were asking about details on the hip belt and that kind of thing, we were able to get close into that. So I can't see any comments at the moment, but do keep them coming back. All this feedback is absolutely fabulous, so thank you very much for taking the time. So this is the camera that's currently outside at the moment, and as you can see, I'm fairly lucky with the space that we have to pitch tents. All that dirt and gravel that you can see in the bottom part of the picture that goes off to the right hand side was where the diggers left a lovely trench, which was the result of obviously them laying the block work. We've had block work laid across the front of the shed and the offices, and they came, and well, it's been wet, hasn't it, since October. They came, well, it's 4 or 5 weeks ago now, I suppose, and unfortunately their machinery sank. So I've got to get a roller from somewhere in these particular times to roll this out and try and smooth it out before it just turns into a very unpleasant and not camp friendly undergrowth lawn area. But you can't see, I don't think, with the camera, because the way the sunlight's catching the camera at the moment, but we do have the silhouette of the Malvern Hills there and the sun going down there, which is quite nice. So it makes a lovely backdrop. And thankfully, because of the shutdown at the moment, the traffic is non-existent, so it's beautiful. All I can hear is birdsong. In fact, can you hear birdsong? It's beautiful. Lovely to hear the birdsong. So yeah, we can do all sorts of things out here. So yeah, we might do the bivvy camp, or pitch a few tents, or pitch a few tarps, and in fact, taking somebody's idea a stage further, showing the newbies various things. I could actually do an hour-long introduction on how to pitch a tarp, which I think would be quite useful to people who are trying it for the first time. So there you have it, really. Hoping that's of interest to people. I'm not too sure. In fact, let me go and sit down at the other end and perhaps start bringing it to a close. So folks, thanks very much for watching. I do appreciate the time you've taken to join me. It's not quite as slick as I wanted it to be. There was a few other tricks and things I was going to do, but that can come later. Just looking at any more comments. John Dunbavin, how about tips and advice for creating your adventure videos? What's kit, how to plan it, the best way of taking shots, editing, etc. Whoa, yeah, could do. I mean, that could be a series of streams actually, because there's an awful lot involved if you want to make a really good job of it. And there are a lot of people that are making a good job of it, and perhaps I should interview Terry Abrams and ask him the questions, and perhaps that might make an informative interview for people. But unless there's anything else, folks, I think I'm going to start to wind this up now and bring this to an end. Thanks again for your time and watching. I hope it hasn't been too boring and it's helped pass best part of an hour and just having a look around. And if you have any great ideas or if you have any suggestions, I'm always open to either people that you think would be worth talking to, or ideas that you'd like to see progressed using this particular format. As it is, we're going to be stuck at home now for the next few weeks, obviously. Then please do drop me a line on the email info@theoutdoorsStation.co.uk. That's 2 S's together, info@theoutdoorsStation.co.uk. And in fact, I think Rose is now putting that into the chat room to let you people know So if you finish this video, just copy and paste that into your email. This video I'll probably put online once I've taken off the introduction at the very beginning. So maybe further comments will happen. So if you have watched this in the future, I hope you haven't found it too boring. And please do place your comments below, or any ideas or any suggestions that you'd like to see. We are fairly flexible, and as you can see, we have got a wealth of facilities and experience to be able to share with you and help pass these shutdown, this virus time, this social distancing that we're now having to do. So I'm going to wind it all up. Thank you everybody indeed for everybody for joining me, but I'm now going to close the stream. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other and your loved ones, and I think I've got a note from Rose.
Just lots of people saying thank you for it. They've really enjoyed it. And
Oh, you're more than welcome, folks. So thanks very much. And I will be seeing you, all being well, next week. You need to, well, you obviously are on the newsletter, but you need to follow me on the socials as well, because I'll be putting it out on Instagram and Twitter, which are probably a faster way to contact people, and as well as Facebook, to let people know that I'll be doing a show either that day or the following day. And if you could share it amongst your social media network, I'd be very grateful, because it helps spread the word and obviously shares a bit of the outdoor love. Okay, folks, well, look after yourselves, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now. Just stop the stream.